from the Penn Libraries.
So it is great to be here. I am talking about Poll Everywhere, which I used in my Introduction to Psychology class. So the way I approach this software in this course is I identify the strengths and the weaknesses of both, and I try to see how I can make them work together. So I teach an introductory course, so these students have no previous exposure to what we're talking about. Also, I teach an absurdly large class. It's sometimes like 500 students. So this semester it's like 500 students, which there's a trade-off with that. But now, this is important because the goals of my class include that students realize that research is active and how we learn about the field of psychology. So this is very important because I'm teaching psychology. So I have the ability to demonstrate psychological research using live student data. I have students who don't know much about psychology, and I have a lot of them. So it works out really well, basically. So I want them to understand that research is active, which is very convenient because so much of psychological research involves self-report, basically asking people simple questions. And with Poll Everywhere, I can use that approach to ask students questions that are directly taken from previous research. Now, this is important because my approach to this software is very much bottom-up compared to what a lot of you would do. So I'm going to give you 2 examples of something I would show in class. So this would be one of a series of many photographs that I would show students to identify how disgusted they would be about something. This is a soccer ball. Most of them say they're not very disgusted. But then, I apologize for the next image, I show them rotting teeth with maggots. And they are very disgusted. Now, clearly, we have so much data here that we can identify that the highest levels of disgust are reported towards images like that, most associated with infection. So it lends support to our hypothesis that disgust could possibly be innate, evolving to protect us from infectious disease. Not in agreement with Paul Rosen's hypothesis, but we'll gloss over that for the moment. So this also, though, is valuable for the development of concepts. So I will show students a Rorschach ink blot. I'm not condoning the use of these ink blots, but this is part of the history of psychology. So I'll ask them, what do they see? And I'll ask them to talk to the person next to them, which is very lo-fi. What does the person next to you see? Do you see the same thing? By and large, they say no. And I have the ability to generate a word cloud with their individual responses. What do you see? And they each populate this with a number of different things. I see Donnie Darko, but I'm sure you all see different things. Now, when you look at this, though, this highlights something very important, which is a powerful concept looking at psychology, that the means by which we gather data are not equal. And each student has a unique response to what they see. And looking at this type of approach to gathering information in psychology, though it might have been used more so historically and not so much now, that is very different from how we would look at different aspects of disorder or personality now, which would be giving someone like an inventory of MMPI and identifying their neuroticism scores. So that would be just 2 examples. Again, this is much more bottom-up than a lot of you would use, but that is how I use it in my class. Thank you very much. Thank you.